Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Or bust, and yes, I did check again.
Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the
at all? Here it is on a Thursday. It is November the 17th in the year of our Lord 2016. Welcome, one and all. Little technical difficulties this morning. The Spreaker platform was acting up for some reason. Do not know why. Not going to speculate. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. Again, that's 603-835-3226. It is... What is that interference? In any case, got a lot on our plate this morning, folks. Glad that you are here. A lot in the paper pile. I got a lot to tell you. You know, it is... amazing what these people are trying to do against Trump. I mean, the media is going absolutely crazy over the Trump win. They really are going nutso now. I mean, it's just amazing. In any case, one of the things that is a huge diss to Barack Hussein Obama, and I know a lot of you are out there saying, yeah, so what? Well, it's about time he got dissed. Well, this is actually pretty cool. And it's the Churchill bust. Anybody remember that? You remember the Churchill bust that Obama had removed from the White House? Well, evidently, Trump is going to have it returned to its rightful place. Trump will return Churchill bust to the Oval Office. That's right. The bust of Winston Churchill in the Oval Office was a symbol of unity between two proud nations, according to MRCTV.org. Despite the differences through the years, remained formidable allies. Now that bust will reportedly be making a return to the White House and Oval Office after President Obama had it removed nearly 8 years ago. United Kingdom Independence Party leader Nigel Farage, who at times campaigned for President-elect Donald Trump, said Tuesday that the Churchill bust will take back its rightful place in the White House to show solidarity with the UK. And this is what Farage told the UK Express. At the end of our time with Trump, we asked if the bust of Sir Winston Churchill that Obama had removed from the Oval Office could be put back in its rightful place. He enthusiastically thought that was a good idea. So there you go. Donald Trump will be bringing back, reportedly will be bringing back the bust of Winston Churchill to the White House after Obama, in all his hateful wisdom, had removed. You know, well, it is kind of strange our relationship with the Brits. I mean, think about it, folks. I mean, historically speaking. And this is where the millennials need to take all these wonderful people that are having fits out there. I got something. You won't believe what is going. It's not just millennials having hissy fits about the Trump win, but I'll get into that a little bit later in the program. Here's a history lessons for the millennials about getting over things. Yeah, I can't take Trump winning. I'm going to kill myself. I'm serious. You better call 911. I can't believe that. I can't live like this. Well, why don't you think about going back to 1776 or so, and then 1812, and be British, and the British monarchy. You see, England couldn't get over the fact that the United States beat them and won the Revolutionary War. They couldn't get over it. And look what happened. They decided to give it a second shot around 1812 to take us back. And that failed. But a lot of people had to lose their lives for them to realize that. Are people going to actually have to die in the streets here in the USA because millennials cannot understand and take the fact that they lost the election? Now, I'm being serious, folks. People are being hurt. Well, we've already had, reportedly, was it a homeless vet that was beaten to death? We're going to have people that are going to die, that are going to be killed over these protests, so-called protests. They're not protests, folks. They're tantrums. And the problem with tantrums is when a child is like 3 or 5 years old, it's easy for an adult to control that child's tantrum. The problem comes about when you have grown people, and I don't mean mentally, physically grown. They're a lot stronger. Well, you'd think they'd be a lot smarter, but that's up for debate. And when they go out there, they have one thing on their mind: destruction. That could be destruction of property, destruction of civil peace, and even the destruction of somebody's life. I mean, they threaten people. Numerous people have already been injured. Most of those injuries, thankfully, have just been superficial. You know, bruises here, bruises there. Maybe a broken car window or two. A few cuts or something like that. But these people, they're getting more and more dangerous. And you have to understand, there are people saying, well, this is George Soros' doing. He's funding a lot of this stuff because a lot of these so-called protesters are being paid. And I got to tell you, that's not kosher. That's not a good thing. When is the leadership of the left? When are they going to stand up and say, when is Obama going to stand up and say, okay, guys, enough's enough. Go back home. Go to school. Well, you can't tell them to go to work because most of them don't have jobs. That is, being a professional protester is their job. So go home. Go back to school. Get in the classroom. Go back in the basement. Play the PS3 or the Xbox. But knock this nonsense off. We lost the election. Even though we didn't play fair, even though we did try to cheat, we still lost the election. Now go home. That is what Obama should be doing and saying. And he's not doing that as president, or as just a basic human being, actually. And he needs to and Hillary too. She's got to stop. Well, don't give up the fight. Don't give up. Well, that's code for keep on doing what you're doing. She should be out there saying, "Look, I appreciate the wonderful support. It's great to see that you can be passionate about these things and what you believe and what I believe, and I thank you so much for your support, but we must allow this new administration to form. We can stay on top of them. We can, make sure that they hear us once he's in office, but we cannot have this type of destruction. Democracy is spoken, and I lost." That's what Hillary needs to tell these people. Notice they're not doing that, folks. They're not doing that at all. 4 years ago, when we lost the election to Obama, was there any rioting? Any protest? Any need for grief counseling or therapy dogs? Anybody need days off from work? Get out of class and school? No? How about 8 years ago when Obama first won? Did we need it then? Were there any riots? Any massive protests? Were people needing to call 911 and crying in the streets? No. Folks, let me tell you something. The world is looking at the United States, shaking their head and wondering what the hell happened to you. And they're looking at these reports on TV, their TVs, and they're laughing their asses off. The reason why this country is great is because of its people. The people are great. Unfortunately, we don't have a generation that's acting great. We have a generation that's acting like a bunch of fools. I don't know why they're acting like fools, but they are. Well, yes, I do know why, because, they're members of the participation trophy generation. I'm going to stop calling them millennials and just call them the participation trophy millennials, or the generation. They can't get over something when they don't get their way. Look, England had to. They didn't get over it at first, and it cost them more lives and more time and more treasure and more blood, sweat, and tears, basically. And now, look, we are such pally pals. We're such close allies, which is really, really kind of strange. Make your enemy your best friend. Really, I mean, if you were to name the USA's top 5 allies right now, well, you can't say really Japan, simply because, well, we defeated Japan and we kind of forced them to be friendly to us for a while. But in our top 5 allies, who would they be? Well, it would be Canada, as I affectionately call it, Canada. Israel. Britain. England. I mean, I don't know how that came about, but it did. Because, you know why? Because the Brits got over it. Well, some people say, well, they still didn't get over it, man. They still call us the colonies. Well, that may be, but they still got over it. And these people need to get over their so-called loss. They didn't lose anything. Well, they did lose. I guess they lost all their freebies that they were expecting. But that's neither here nor there. Good thing is that we're probably going to get to keep more money in our pockets. Won't be this big nanny state taking that we need to pay for. At least for the next 4 to 8 years, anyway. There are people all over this whole notion of the nanny state and the globalists, man, they are. I got some stuff here about that too. They are fit to be taught. They believe, and they're not going to admit this, but they believe that that their agenda has been set back far more than 8 years with the election of Trump. But they're not going to stop. They're going to keep trying. And they're going to keep trying, folks. But this whole reaction to the Trump win is just, it's not classic, but it is instructional. And the lamestream media keeps on keeping on their idiocy. I mean, these people are just, well, we'll get into that too. Don't go away. Got a lot to go over with you this morning, plus taking your calls this morning as well. 603-835-3226. You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on The Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
603-835-3226. That's the number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show on this Thursday morning. And I know a lot of people are getting happier and happier out there because Donald Trump seems to be moving on. And he seems... What is that infernal feedback? Boy, this morning is... first we have technical difficulties with Spreaker, and now this system is feeding back on me constantly. I hope you do not hear that, but because it's driving me insane. In any case, you got Donald Trump is trying to drain the swamp and fulfill his promise to do so, and the left is really beside themselves on this. First, the guy goes out there and he goes and gets himself some dinner. He goes to get himself some dinner and doesn't tell the press. Oh, and they flip out. Yeah, they flip out. They are just beside themselves on that. Now, I got something here that should really make people stand up and take. Now, understand these are just some of the names being floated around for the different positions out there. But this, believe it or not, I get it from Media Matters. Oh, people, this is so rich. I mean, it is so. Even if it doesn't happen, just the mere thought of it happening has sent these liberals, is giving them conniption fits. It's absolutely unbelievable how these people are taking this kind of stuff. But good God Almighty, you would think that some of the names that Trump has mentioned or have been bandied about for certain cabinet postings, that it's the end of the world. Excuse me, it's the end of the world. You would think that it's that their entire their world is being dismantled slowly but surely. It really is, because we can see it. The socialist nations out there. Some of them are trying to dismantle their socialist and communistic tendencies. Britain has voted for the Brexit, pulling out of the EU. They are trying to shed themselves of government health care in England. You got countries like Sweden that want to stop the flow of this refugee crap. You got France that's saying enough is enough. Even Hollande, French President Hollande is basically coming about and saying, we got some issues here. And those issues need to be addressed. They need to be addressed. We can't afford this anymore. And look, Germany. It's kind of interesting that Germany is out there talking about, well, we need to do this and this, and people need to. Greece needs to be more fiscally responsible with their national finances and things like that, while they're going ahead and doing stupid, high-cost things. It's hypocrisy knows no ends, has no bounds. So Trump comes along, and everybody thinks, well, you know what? Trump says he's going to drain the swamp, and Trump says he's going to do this, and he's going to do that. But it's going to be, even though the liberals lost, they think it's going to be business as usual. And they thought they had him. They thought they had Trump. Look, he's got Christie, and Christie's bringing in all these old people, from the past. Bush people, and even maybe a few Clinton people, and some Reagan people. He's bringing in he's bringing in the swamp water. And then all of a sudden, about a day later, Trump basically fires Christie. And the press is like, what? That can't be. That's not the way things are done. No, but that's the way Trump does things. And now there are names floating around for different cabinet positions that do not come out of Washington, D.C. Sure, there's a list of people who are from politics, but there's a list of people who aren't. And some of those names, one in particular, has got Mexico and Mexicans all aflutter. Tell you when we get back.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Welcome back, 603-835-3226. That's the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show. That's right, I am the Rod of Truth, the Truth Hammer, the Rod, absolutely. Hey, don't forget, folks, starting to get some of you to are starting to send in some of your Christmas stuff, Christmas music, your original Christmas music. That's great. I've listened to a couple of really good songs already. So if you or you know a musician, if you're a musician or you know a musician out there that wants to participate and partake in this event, it'll begin well, in less than 2 weeks, not next week, because next week is Thanksgiving already. Can you believe that? In any case, send your original Christmas song in MP3 format to the Rod Eccles Show at gmail.com. Just go over to rodeccles.net, click on the Rod Eccles Show button or link, and you'll get all the pertinent information. You'll get the pertinent information that you need to when and how and where to send all that your music to me so we can play it on the air and give you musicians and composers full credit. All the credit is due to you. And, just a couple of housekeeping things here as we're trying to get through a lot of... No, we won't even bother with that one today. So here we go. From the paper pile. Look, we're on top of this, folks. We're on top of this for you. We try to keep things as pertinent as possible. Try to break the... You're probably going to hear the rest of the talk stream media out there talking about this today. Well, maybe they won't. I don't know. We'll see as the day goes on. It's early. I do find it kind of interesting that it seems like, and there is that stupid interference again. It's kind of... People have been telling me that every once in a while they hear some sort of interference type of thing, feedback, and I haven't heard it. Today I'm hearing it, and it's extremely loud. So I'm only one person here in the studio, so bear with me as I try to, while talking to you and being brilliant, I will try to track down that issue. But yes, you are not going crazy. I finally hear it. Some people have been telling me, yeah, it seems like every single day, Rod, it's out there. Well, I haven't heard it before. But today I'm hearing it. I don't know what that is. So we'll try to figure out what that is. Anyway, on to some pretty brilliant strategy from Trump. Even if it doesn't actually come to pass, the very thought that people like this are being considered is what has the left all aflutter. Because now understand, if we had a different president from the right, I can't name, well, even some of my favored choices over Trump, because I honestly say he was not my first choice. He was not my second choice. So even out of some of my favored choices, would not have thought outside the box like this. Which is, and I think I can admit that, maybe my first and second choice were kind of wrong. Because I have wanted for so long for somebody to drain the swamp in D.C. And each time that we voted for someone, it didn't end up happening, did it? And we were all, all those conservatives, we were disappointed, and we tried to console ourselves by saying, well, we know that they weren't really truly a true conservative, but they were better than the Democrat. And, we always hear, well, I'm tired of holding my nose and voting for the lesser of two evils and blah, blah, blah. We do that all the time. Myself included. I have said those things. And hell, I've even said at this election, well, look, your choice is between Trump and Clinton, so you got to hold your nose again. But now that Trump has won, I wonder how many people out there are still saying, they had to hold their nose. I wonder if this carries through to January 20. I wonder how many people are going to turn around and say, well, geez, maybe that was probably the best vote we could have had since Reagan. And I think some people are starting to think that way. Even those people that were adamantly against Trump on the right and say, he doesn't have a chance. Look, Paul Ryan today. There was some semblance of the old Paul Ryan. I woke up and read this, and I got to tell you, I was shocked. Paul Ryan blocks the return of earmarks. What the hell is wrong with Republicans wanting to do that kind of crap? I don't know. But we'll get into that story. Paul Ryan blocks the return of earmarks, but that's not what's going to make a lot of people excited today. This is from MediaMatters.org, believe it or not. And I'm surprising that they're bringing it up because nobody... I looked all over this morning trying to find... There's very little of this news. Left doesn't like this. Right-wing radio host and frequent Fox guest with a history of inflammatory rhetoric being considered for Department of Homeland Security post. Notice that title. Remember that headline is from Media Matters. But probably, now, I don't know. I mean, you know, one of the problems with what Trump is doing is that he's looking at some of these secretary positions in the cabinet, and he's chosen he's considering possibly some rather prominent Republicans. Now, there's a slight problem with that. These are sitting Republicans, sitting senators. Well, that means they have to leave that post, and that post has to be filled. And there's, look, you know, the Republicans only got 52-48. And there's no guarantee. Trump could shoot himself in the foot because it could swing, you know, it could be a 50-50 Senate by the time is all is said and done. Or even, you know, go the other way. 49 Republican and 51 Democrats. That would not be good for Trump. Just saying. So I mean, I know you want the best people in the position that you're looking for, but at the same time, you also have to consider if you change the makeup of the Senate, even if you put those people in place, are you going to be able to govern effectively, or are you going to be blocked at every possible chance? So those are things that have to be considered too. And I'm sure Trump is weighing those options, which is why he's also going outside of Washington for some positions. And this right-wing radio host being considered for the Secretary of Homeland Security, none other than David Clark, Sheriff David Clark. Now, when I read that, I thought, abso-freaking-lutely awesome. Now, will Clark get the nod, get the nomination? I don't know. Will he even accept it? I don't know. I mean, look, you got Gingrich out there yesterday on the Sean Hannity show definitively saying that he is not going to take or have a cabinet secretary position in the Trump administration. He took himself out. Now, I don't know what he might have been considered for, but he basically just said, I'm not going to do it. I don't know what it would take for him to change his mind. I mean, I've heard things like Secretary of State. I've heard, Department of Homeland Security. I've heard also even possibly the Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury. He might be good at all three. Gingrich is kind of a budget hawk. But he's saying no. I kind of don't blame him. But there you have it. David Clark, Sheriff Clark of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. Is being considered for the post of... now, I just noticed my sound going up and down. Now, that's not me, folks. That is the freakiest thing. Anyway. Clark being considered for that post is monumental, because that sort of thing doesn't happen. That sort of thing just does not happen. They don't go outside the box like that, that far outside of D.C. to find people to run these cabinet level positions. And Trump is reaching out. That's not the only name. There are others out there. There are other names out there that are being bandied about that are really not within the swamp of D.C., as it were. Here, let me see if I can get some of these, get some of the names here for you. Possibility of them, of people taking these wonderful positions. For Secretary of State, of course, you know that there's Rudy Giuliani is being considered. Others that are being considered for Secretary of State are also Senator Bob Corker and Senator Jeff Sessions. And former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who said that he's not going to take any such positions inside the Trump administration. He's going to stay strictly in an advisory role. Probably thinks he'll have to work less and probably make more. Gingrich isn't stupid, folks. Charge the government for your counsel, your consultation. For Treasury Secretary, looking at Steve Mnuchin. He's Goldman Sachs, but also Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty. Former Minnesota governor, and the Colony Capitals found. I've never heard of the Colony Capitals, but Thomas Barack Jr., not Barack Obama, but is Barrack. Thomas Barack Jr. He's the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee right now. For Attorney General, being considered would be Giuliani and Sessions. I think Chris Christie is out to lead the Justice Department. The Defense. Now, here are some strange ones, I thought, being considered for Secretary of Defense. Former Arizona Senator John Kyle, former National Security Advisor Stephen J. Hadley, and soon-to-be former Senator from New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte. Now, I'm not sure why Ayotte's name would appear to be Secretary of Defense. I've never found her to be that strong of a figure. And not because she's a woman. Look, there are a lot of weak men. Obama's one. But she just wasn't. I just felt she's not a very strong candidate. Which is partly the reason why I think she lost to Maggie Hassan here in New Hampshire. Former Defense Secretary, or Defense Intelligence Agency Director, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, is also being considered for the Defense Secretary job. Education Secretary, Ben Carson is being considered, but Ben is also bowed out, saying, no, I'm not really interested in being running a department. But also William Evers. He's the guy that is, he ran the Hoover Institution, and now he's, what is that college that you always, or university you always hear advertised? Heritage College, I think is what it's called. And he's the guy that gives out all those free constitution classes online. If you want to learn about the Constitution, you take his class online. And I think if this guy is education, because Trump really wants to either reduce or eliminate the Department of Ed. And this guy knows if he wants to reduce it, and give more power education back to the states where it belongs. This is a guy that's really going to do it. You also have for a Commerce Secretary, Politico is saying that people like Wilbur Ross, a businessman and investor, is being considered. The former CEO of steelmaker Nucor Corp, Dan DiMicco, D-I-M-I-C-C-O, is also being considered. And go figure. A businessman a successful business person being considered for Commerce Secretary. Oh, dear God, say that can't be. You can't have a business person doing that. Also for the Commerce post, names being bandied about are Christie, former Texas Governor Rick Perry, and former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. For Interior Secretary, I guess there are two favored women for this position. Governor Jan Brewer, which there's a lot of backlash on Jan Brewer. So that may not happen. But also former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. And one guy is really being seriously considered, and that's Harold Hamm, CEO of the gas company Continental Resources, and Forrest Lucas. I'm sorry, there's two guys. Current president of Lucas Oil. Anybody ever see that Lucas Oil? You can go, 50,000 miles without changing your oil or something. They have that kind of oil. Health and Human Services Secretary, of course, again, Carson's name was bandied about. Former Governor Bobby Jindal of Louisiana. Now, Jindal, by the way, was before he became governor of Louisiana, he was the secretary of the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. You also got Huckabee, who's being considered for that post. So there are some things out there that are not within the box, so to speak. There are some familiar names. There are some new names. There are some surprising names. And all I can say is that I really think that this is actually going to be a different kind of administration for a change. And that ain't bad. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
(603-835-3226). And that's the number to call should you wish to join me here on the Rod Eccles Show. Getting through some of these names that are being considered for different cabinet-level posts in the new Trump administration. The Secretary of Homeland Security, of course, I mentioned being considered is Wisconsin's Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark. And by the way, he's considered to be the front runner for that post. Other mentions for the job include Chris Christie, Giuliani, and Sessions. Giuliani, I believe, would be a very good choice for that, as well as Sessions, but I think if he's going to have Sessions in his cabinet, Sessions could probably be better utilized somewhere else. Departing Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio is also being considered, as well as House Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Michael McCall, and I don't think that would be a very good choice there. But it really depends on some. Just because people are being considered, and just because these people are actually talking to President-elect Trump, doesn't mean that they're actually going to take the job. So even though we might finally, when we finally get the list of potential cabinet members that are going to go before Congress to be confirmed, it doesn't mean that those are the people that were Trump's first choice. I mean, some people like Gingrich is basically already, and Carson have already said they're not interested in being in the cabinet. Now, it doesn't mean that Trump can't twist their arm and get them to change their mind. And I understand Trump can be very, very persuasive when he needs to be. And you remember, Trump likes to make deals. Now, I don't know what kind of deal you can make to get Ben Carson to come on board and be a cabinet secretary, but if there's a deal to be made there, if that's who Trump wants and there's a deal to be made, you can best be sure he's going to be able to make that deal a success. Other than that, you don't, just because people get bandied about by the name doesn't mean that they're actually going to take the role. Environmental Protection Agency, that's a focus of a lot of talk over the past couple of years. The EPA has been embroiled in lawsuits from citizens. It was part of the Bundy issue out there in the West. So the EPA is the EPA was never intended to be this political, but you let a Democrat get a hold of anything, you let a liberal get a hold of anything, and they'll turn it into politics, super politics like you would not believe. But yeah, there you have it. There are some more names. We got some more names for you when we come back.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. Devices are operating at optimal efficiency this morning. My cell phone, my computers, and a soundboard seem to be acting up because I get this feedback that I haven't heard before, and it's loud. I get cell phone is not connecting and doing what it's supposed to be doing, and my iPad is even screwing up, and that's a rare one. There's got to be something in the air today. What is today? Today's just Thursday, right? Is there any national day today? I don't know what it's just I don't know. What is the national? Is there? I'll have to look it up. See what day? Because yesterday was National Fast Food Day. I don't know what today is. We'll check it out. Anyway, welcome back, folks. It is your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from my Bunker I studio, somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire. At least I think I'm still in New Hampshire. I don't know. Maybe I got whisked away on a UFO and I'm not really on the planet anymore. I just think I am, but I'm not. Maybe I'm in the Matrix and the whole Matrix thing is screwing up. Remember that movie? Glitches. Maybe that's it. There's glitches in the system today. Wow. It's just weird. Any case, 603-835-3226 is the number to call here on this Thursday morning in the year of our November the 17th in the year of our Lord 2016. Well, we will trudge on. You can't stop me. I'm like a juggernaut. You can slow me down a little bit, but I'll keep going. So some of the additional names: Environmental Protection Agency. Now Trump initially, I remember he was saying that we probably needed to eliminate and dismantle the EPA, but I think he's come to realize you want to talk about backlash like you would not believe on that one. And frankly, there is some good that the EPA can do. And the EPA could actually be transformed and be refocused so that it would fit within the confines of the Constitution and not have all of these land-grabbing, anti-private property fiats issued left and right, but begin to work more closely with various states on how to keep our drinking water clean and safe and going after the real criminals and polluters. that do those sorts of things that shouldn't be done, and helping set guidelines that can be more uniform across the country. They don't have to, issue all of these fiats that they do. It's half that stuff is not constitutional, and it really needs to be stopped. But so you got some people who are being considered for that post, and those people would be Robert Grady. He's a former deputy of the EPA, former deputy Jeffrey Homestead, and Robert Gray, who's a Griffin Investors partner. I've never heard of them, but obviously a businessman. And Competitive Enterprise Institute, Myron Ebel. All these institutes are these they're lobbyist groups. Speaking of let me get through these names, because there's also some great stuff on lobbyists that Donald Trump just put the smackdown on. For Agriculture Secretary, now this is a very strange department. And I think this is where Donald is showing his lack of knowledge. And look, you can't know everything about everything. Not even the President Donald. Gotta get used to saying that. Putting those two words together. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just it's hard to say because they don't flow together. The President Donald versus the Donald, because you're used to saying the Donald, so you got to get used to saying the President Donald. He's got a lot of options, I guess. But some of the names that have been bandied about are Secretary of Agriculture for Texas, Sid Miller, former Kansas Governor Sam Brownback, former Nebraska Governor Dave Heineman, former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue, and the chairman of the board of the National Council of Farmer Cooperatives, Chuck Connor, as well as former Texas Governor Rick Perry. By the way, might I, since Perry has kind of retired from politics after dropping out of the presidential race, I got to he looks better. Because when he was running, he looked like he was disinterested, like he was tired. He lost his will. And I've seen him lately. He looks re-energized. There was another guy, I think, that probably didn't really want to run. I still to this day don't think that Jeb Bush wanted to run, by the way. I really don't think he wanted to run. I think it was just a family commitment and promises made to GOP leadership and things like that finally caused him to get into the race. But I don't think he really wanted to run. Trump was right. There was no energy in him. None. But so I don't think he wanted to run either. I don't know why Rick Perry got into the race, because he definitely did not seem like he wanted to run. And for Labor Secretary, according to Politico, the commissioner of the Equal Opportunity Employment Opportunity Commission could possibly go to. Well, there's still a bunch of people under consideration for that job. But Victoria Lippick, who is the commissioner of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, currently is being considered for Labor Secretary. Energy Secretary is a big one. Trump is considering Grady Ham and James Connaughton, former environmental advisor during the Bush administration, and chief of Nautilus Data Technologies. Now, if you actually think about it, all those wonderful names
are not really retreads of another administration. 90% of them are not. Now do you understand why Trump fired Chris Christie? Because he was going to bring forth people, a whole slew of retreads. And it's not what Trump wanted. And you get the media talking about how this guy is in, his campaign or his transition team is in disarray. There's no disarray there. Trump is in full control of this. Sure, look, the reason why there are shakeups. Let me give you an insight here, folks. For you people out there who are liberals who don't understand how business works. Trump is approaching this with a business mindset, not your typical government mindset. Oh, we all have to work together now. Come on, let's get together. Okay, yes, let's. You had differences, you had a little argument. Hug each other, sing kumbaya. Let's get along. That is the way governmental people always think. So very few people leave at times like this, or things change during this time of an administration being formed. You don't get and even in government, you don't get, once they get in the government, you don't get this change type of mentality. Business mentality is, if you don't do what I want, if you're not reaching the goals I want, you get fired. Evidently, Christie wasn't doing and trying to reach the goals that Trump wanted, so Trump brought in somebody who saw his vision, who wanted to reach Trump's goals, not their own goals. And what you're seeing is Trump being in control and saying, look, you're not doing what I said you should do, what I hired you to do, you're fired. That's not turmoil. That's being a leader and in control and not taking any BS. But see, the left doesn't understand that because most of them have never really held a real job in their life. They don't get that that's how you run a business. You don't run a business by, let's have kumbaya moment, okay? You run a business by ensuring that you have the best possible people that you can find for the positions that you need them in, and as long as they do and fulfill your desires to reach your goals, they keep their job. When they stop doing that, when a business owner or CEO leader feels that they cannot get the best out of that person anymore, where that person just isn't helping to fulfill the goals of that business leader, of that business, then it's time for them to go. Plain and simple. There's no keeping them on just because you want to be nice and you want to try to get along. There's none of that. So this whole issue about Trump's transition being in disarray could not be further from the truth. Donald Trump is firmly in control. If he keeps this mentality, he keeps this type of this is probably going to be. I know we're all getting excited too early for probably, but you got to understand this is probably going to be one of the tightest governmental ships, tightest administrations in a very, very long time. By the way, can I throw something else in there? Just so much out there, folks, and my mind is going all over the place and trying to, that's part of being a Gemini. I have this problem of being able to really think of multiple things at the same time. Unfortunately, I only have one mouth. One of the things that Trump is very well noted for, besides getting things done and under budget, but the man built a multi-billion-dollar business empire, not just real estate. And he's done it by putting the right people in the right places. And he doesn't hold anybody's hand. And he doesn't want to sing Kumbaya with anybody. And so I think what we're going to have, if this type of thing continues, we're looking at, depending on how Congress reacts, and we know how they can be. I'm talking Republicans, not just the Democrats. We're looking at the possibility of, as far as getting his agenda through, somebody who could be more successful at getting his agenda through than Obama was. Now, y'all got to be ready for the bumpy ride, because if Trump can get even half of his agenda through, it is going to send shockwaves through this country. Good shockwaves. But there is going to be some, shall we say, discomfort. But we have to go through it. It's like taking your medicine. You know, most of us don't like taking medicine. We hate the taste. We don't like the shots, or we don't like the pills, all that kind of stuff. But we like how we feel after the medicine does its job. Trump just might be America's medicine. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You will not believe who is depressed over the Trump win, Trump election. Well, actually, yeah, of course you would believe it, but you won't believe what they're getting. And this is according to redstate.com. Federal employees are depressed by Trump victory and are offered counseling and sick leave. And here we thought it was just the millennials out there who were having a hissy fit and couldn't take this. Evidently, well, there are a lot of millennials in the government because millennials, go up to the age of 35 right now, right? 34, 35. Yeah, they were born in 80, so 35, 36. Wow. 36 for some of them. The leading edge of the millennial generation is turning 36 this year. Let that sink in for a minute. These people are approaching middle age and they're still acting like they're 12. Last month, government executive did a survey asking federal employees whether they would continue working for the government if Donald Trump won the election. Almost one-third of those responding said they would consider leaving their jobs if Trump defeated Clinton. Bye-bye now. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. That's a lie anyway. Do you realize that the benefits that these people are getting and the salaries that some of them, they cannot come anywhere close to getting that in the private sector. And they know it. They're not going anywhere. Don't let that bullshit fool you. A Government Business Council, govexec.com survey found that 14% of federal workers say they would definitely consider leaving their jobs. They will consider it, but they won't do it. They would definitely consider leaving their jobs if Donald Trump wins the presidential election. Another 13% said that they might consider leave. What is this? I might consider it. Well, either going to consider it or you're not. But even what's this? What? I'll consider it. I'll consider leave. That's BS. While 9% said that they did not know what they would do. That leaves just 65% of the federal workforce who say they will stay for a Trump administration. Hey, if we can get rid of a third of them, that's fine with me. But they ain't going nowhere. I am sure by the time Trump's first year is up, first 100 days is up, first year is up, you won't even see a 5% turnover from those people. There has been, now the article goes on to state, there has been a great deal of anxiety and fear since the election. But are feds really going to quit and find work in the private sector? Well, no, because Obama made sure that they wouldn't have a job outside of the public sector. He destroyed the American economy. We've got 95 million people out of work. We've got a U6 unemployment number that's still above 9%. Literally. No, they're not going anywhere. Because they're not going to be able to find such a cushy position anywhere. And that's a problem, actually, folks. We really need to fix that type of thing. Government jobs should not be that lucrative. That's not what government's about. It's not what government is for. Should not be that lucrative. Every time I hear somebody say that, I'm going to go to college so I can get a government job. God, that makes me cringe. Oh.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. Woo! There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
403-835-3226. That's the number that you utilize, the digits that you utilize to contact me live here on the Rod Eccles Show. Hey, folks, don't forget to connect with me on social media. In other words, follow me. Facebook, / The Rod Eccles Show. Facebook / Rod Eccles Speaker. Good stuff over there, as well as all the other major social media outlets. Just look for Rod Eccles, and when you search for me over on Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Google+. Get some good stuff over there. It's wonderful. Isn't that special? So you have all these wonderful government acolytes out there that are just beside themselves because, they look, government employees, they want big government. Why do they want big government? Because big government means job security. Private sector, there is no job security. So all these wonderful, unless you're at the lowest level, have you ever, I know people, most of the time when you're dealing with the federal government, you're not dealing with them face to face. Most of the time you're not. It's usually, via the mail or via the internet or telephone. You don't deal with these people often face to face. And pretty much that's the way they want it. Government was set up that way. Try to go into a federal agency and try to get service from them. They tell you to do this and, call this person or call this department or They don't want to deal with you in person. They really don't. In most agencies, they don't want to deal with you in person. So there's this huge disconnect between the American people and the federal government as far as the surface is, the federal employees. Where most Americans interact with the government is on a local and state level. Now, when I go to renew my registration for my vehicles, every year I have to go into, I can mail it in. I usually don't because I don't want to take the chance of them screwing something up and losing something and then me driving down the road one day and then, hey, we just pulled you over because we flagged your plate. It's your car is not registered. Trust me, that has happened before. Not to me, but it has happened. Hell, it's kind of happened to me when because here we get these temporary cardboard plates when you buy a new car, and you have up to 20 days to get to fully register it and get your real plates. But in some towns, up until recently, some of the smaller towns, they were not directly connected. I don't know how they weren't, but they weren't directly connected to the New Hampshire Department of Motor Vehicles. They did things the old-fashioned way. Yeah, paper, mail. And I remember being pulled over once, having one of these tags, just having gotten the car. And the officer says, well, it's not registering. I'm like, what do you mean it's not registering? It's a new car, for crying out loud. Because the system hadn't caught up with me driving around. Yeah, the car was registered. Yeah, it was legal. But the system hadn't caught up, simply because the town that I lived in wasn't connected via computer. It was all paper pushers pushing paper through the mail so other paper pushers at the other end could push the paper around. Yeah, that's the way it works. But if you actually go into, like, say, your DMV every year or every other year, as long as you've been doing it, don't you see that there's the same people there year in and year out? There is no change. And
In my town, every year I go in, same person behind that counter at the DMV takes my check. Same person. She'll probably retire from that job with a cushy pension. So if you want to understand what the federal government is like, just pay attention to your local, your state government that you have to interact with more often because, it's just the way our society's designed. Yeah, well, unless you do everything now by computer or mail. And might I suggest that you stop doing that? I know it's more efficient and you don't have to wait in line. And one of the good things about New Hampshire is DMV lines, they're not historic. They're not long. You don't need to take it. Nobody has to take the day off of work to go to the DMV in New Hampshire. You really don't. I mean, even at its busiest time, I have found I'm in and out of there in less than 30 minutes. I know there are a lot of people out there like New York. Look, I literally spent 3.5 hours at the New York DMV. I understand. When I lived in New York State, I get it. New Hampshire, not that way. So I understand that. I mean, some people are probably out there. What? 30 minutes or less? Are you kidding me? I can't even get my oil changed in that time frame. Speaking of that, does anybody remember that lawsuit I guess it's been some time ago now. Time flies. That some of these oil change places that had guaranteed these 10 or 15 minute oil changes were taking 45 minutes or longer. And I guess the Department of Commerce that does that, regulates that kind of stuff, the FTC and stuff. And they are cracking down on some of it. If you haven't noticed, a lot of these oil change places no longer give you that kind of short guarantee. That's why. They get you to come in, and next thing you know, 10 minutes. Man, it's been almost an hour. Well, I wish they would have that kind of oversight in government. You promise a 10-minute oil change, and it takes you 15 minutes, man. The government's going to come in and say, well, false advertising and false this and false that. But hell, you go and try to deal with the government, and something that should take them 10 or 15 minutes takes them 3 days, and nobody gets disciplined for it. So no, none of these people are going to be leaving the government simply because Donald Trump has been elected. And that's a damn shame, actually. Because most of them probably should be turned over. I mean, there's no incentive. How many times have you gone into a government office, you see an office full of people, meandering about that office behind the counter, sitting at their desk. Half the room notices that you're there, and yet they ignore you. And you stand there 5-10 minutes before somebody finally comes over to the counter, and in a sort of turt way, as if you're interrupting them. Can I help you? It's why I'm standing here. Trust me, I'm not going into a government office for my health or just for, craps and giggles here. There's nothing more infuriating than that. Well, if these people really want to, and don't tell me it's because, they're underfunded or they're understaffed. I mean, good God almighty, our government is huge. How can they possibly be understaffed? What the hell are all those people doing? Has anybody ever asked that question? Walk into a government office building, in a major city or a state office building or even a federal government office building and see all the people that are sitting behind their desk and milling about and walking back and forth, laughing and talking with each other, not doing any work, and ask, what the hell are they all doing where it is an interruption in their day to serve me, their actual employer? Has anybody ever really asked that question? What do you do? Well, I do the modern computer version of pushing paper around. I push buttons on the computer, keys. Really, what do these people do? What do they all do? I don't know. If you walk into an office of 30 people, there's probably only 2 or 3 of them that actually come to the counter and talk to you. What are the rest of them doing? Do you realize we have more people in government today when we have electronic means to keep track of stuff than back in the day when everything really was done by paper? Do you realize that? Our government is bigger today. There are more people in our federal government and state governments today. When we have computers and everything, they're supposed to make the job faster, shorter, and not need as many people than we did before we got computers and all we had was paper. It's insanity out there. Well, maybe Trump will do what Reagan did and start to shrink the government. And some of those people will be forced to find a private sector job. The problem is that a lot of those people, that if they leave the federal government, they'll not go get a private job. If they're at the age where they could take their pension and retire early, they'll do that. So we're still going to get screwed on that, the taxpayer. But they'll go find another government job, state or local or county. And why? Because most of them know they won't be able to cut it in the private sector. They won't. They got lucrative jobs at the federal level. State, county, and local don't pay as well as federal level. But they'll go get that state, county, or local government job because it's just as cushy as the federal government. It just doesn't pay as much. That's all. They're not going to go in the private sector. They'd actually have to do work. Imagine that. Actually got to do some work. Remember the thing about Dinesh D'Souza? And he spent all those months in jail for no reason really whatsoever. Well, he's made some points. Julian Assange, I guess, is his lawyers are preparing to ask Trump, once Trump is inaugurated, to ask Trump for a pardon. Now, I know Snowden. There are calls from some people on the right, as well as the left, who are asking Obama, and he's not going to do it, and thus will be asking Trump for a Snowden pardon. And I got to tell you, I have mixed feelings on Snowden. Let me briefly explain. He was a whistleblower, but he blew his whistle the wrong way. You see, there are legal ways to blow the whistle, and there are illegal ways to blow the whistle. I am glad that he blew the whistle, but he did it the wrong way. And thus, he should be brought to justice for that. It's kind of like, he mishandled classified information, basically. Now, he could still blow the whistle without mishandling that stuff. But he chose to do it in an illegal manner, and he needs to, come to account for that. Now, I don't know what the whole deal with Julian Assange is here in the U.S. and why he would need a pardon. Now, I find it very interesting that you have the left who thought Julian Assange was the greatest hero, the greatest thing since sliced bread, and, for liberals, no, it wouldn't be sliced bread. It would be gluten-free bread. They believe Julian Assange and WikiLeaks was the greatest thing since the invention of gluten-free bread. And now, since he has quote unquote, attacked Hillary Clinton. Oh, now he's the equivalent of Mr. Evil. Isn't that the one of the spy spoof movies? Bad guy's name Mr. Evil. $1 billion. Wasn't his name Mr. Evil? What was that series of movies with Mike Myers? I can't. He's supposed to be British, but Mike Myers isn't British. But Dinesh is actually out there talking about, and he's still talking about, how not just the Democrats in this country, but liberal socialists and communists across the globe tried to steal America itself. You know, we are the last outposts for this globalist socialism. What they had in Obama, they saw that they had the United States within their grasp. And they pushed and pushed to get Hillary Clinton in there. You know, just look at her foundation. Look at all the donations that she got, where she got them from. Look at Soros, what Soros has done, all the money that he has funneled through all his different various nefarious groups, and others as well from foreign entities. You know, they've money laundered this money to get it into this country to do their bidding, and Trump stopped them. It has set them back years, far more than the 4 years or 8 years that Trump will be in office. I mean, he's literally stopped them. And many of them are having hissy fits all over the planet. Because they just knew that they have gotten the United States. Now understand this. In Obama, in 8 years, they have gotten to the point where the United States is no longer not even in the top 3 of the freest nations in the world. We're not even in the top 10. That's what the globalists wanted. And they almost had us. Remember the old 70s show, Maude? And then there's Maude. Nope, in this case. And then there's Trump.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
Inauguration day, I think I'm going to go out and buy one of my celebratory specialty cigars. It's made by Ashton. Excuse me. It's a Churchill size girth cigar. It's really good. The only thing that would make it even better than because I can't get Dunhill anymore around here, and I'm not. There's just I've ordered cigars over, through the mail over the internet before, and for your everyday smoke that's great, but some of the more pricey ones it's a little bit more difficult to have them arrive in pristine condition. But I would love to have a real Cuban cigar for Inauguration Day. But I'll go out and get myself a celebratory, big stick, big girth Ashton. Unless my favorite cigar shop has a stock of Dunhill. And if they do, I'm buying the box, so you better get there before me. But I'll get the Ashton. And enjoy it, because that is going to be a day that I think a lot of people, and even some, I believe that there are going to be some on the left. We call them conservative Democrats. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but remember, JFK was a conservative, by today's standards, a conservative Democrat. There's still some of those Reagan Democrats out there. And I think even they will be celebratory on that day. Getting rid of Obama. I just wonder if Obama's going to be like the Clintons and steal any of the furniture. The Clintons did it. Sure, they had to pay for some of it and return some of it, but they got to keep some of it too. They got away with it. They didn't. These people never pay fully for anything, do they? No, they don't. But in any case, I'm going to be celebrating when inauguration time comes in, or day gets here. So, hang on, folks. We got a lot more to continue. Still got another hour to go. Fast, but we'll be furious.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Cigar on Inauguration Day. I need to go out there and buy myself a nice bottle of Scotch whiskey as well. Maybe was it Johnny Walker Black that's the expensive stuff? Or it's not the blue, right? No, the blue's red's the regular, I think. I'm not a huge Johnny Walker fan, but there's some other stuff out there like Glenfiddich. Ooh, that's some good stuff. And there's a couple of other things I've had at a cigar shop in Keene, and it's a new cigar. Well, it's not even really a cigar shop. It's more like it's a new cigar lounge out there in Keene. What was it, last month? I took a trip out there and to my old adopted town, which someday I'll move back there. I know that Keene is a very liberal enclave because of Keene State College, part of the University of New Hampshire system. And I'm sure they were happy when I moved. Yay! Rod's gone! Yay! Yeah, I'm coming back though. It's where I plan to. I will, unless my family decides otherwise. My wishes are to be buried in Keene. But there is this wonderful. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go back there and find it. Excuse me, get the name of this Scotch. We talk about smooth. Well, it better have been smooth. The glass, you get, it's a shot. You get the shot of Scotch, and it's sipping. You sip that stuff, but it was so smooth you almost couldn't gulp it. And it better have been smooth. It was like $9 for that thing, glass. So the bottle must be over $100. So I'll get it. Enjoy a cigar. When Donald Trump takes the oath of office. I'll be sitting. Wait, that's at noon, isn't it? Huh. Well, I won't. Well, it won't. I'll have to watch it here on the computers, and because I'll be here in the bunkerized studio. Speaking of which, welcome back, folks. It is I, your lovable host, Rod. Just fantasizing about Inauguration Day, January 20, in the year 2017. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Call-in number is still 603-835-3226. So all of you wonderful ecclesiastites and liberty lovers all across the globe, that's a toll-free number for most calling plans. So you can even call it. If you have a cell phone, you can call international, right? A lot of that stuff is kind of, you can do Skype, or is it, you could use, what are some of the other internet protocols? Is Google Voice still around? I never got into that, so I don't know how Google Voice works. But, Skype, everybody knows Skype. That's toll free. You can call that number on Skype. Or your cell phone, or your landline, or even your satellite phone if you have one. Remember when those are supposed to take over for I was real excited when satellite phones became handheld devices. They were larger than cell phones of the day, and they're still larger than cell phones. Well, cell phones have gotten pretty big today, so I guess they're cell phones are thin. Satellite phones are still kind of bulky. But I remember when we were going to have satellite phones. There was going to be no need for cell phones. All these towers are going to be gone, and it didn't happen. I am so disappointed. I know I like to be able to go out. You know, you like to be able to go out in the wilderness sometimes and not get any signals because you want to be off grid. And satellite phones, you would not be off grid because there would be no land-based grid. But satellite phones never took off. The pricing never came down. The equipment never really got small and never really got as clear a signal as cell phones are now. I remember cell phones back in the 90s. They were not as clear as they are today. Nowhere near as reliable because there weren't as nearly as many towers either. But satellite phones that was going to be it, and then cell phones just became ridiculously expensive and basically priced satellite phones and relegated satellite phones to a specialty item. Well, who knows? Remember, we used to have mobile phones? Not cell phones, they were mobile phones. Remember I remember, what was this TV show that my mother used to watch? Cannon. I think it was Cannon, a detective story, kind of like Mannix and the Rockford Files. But it was Cannon, he was a fat guy. And he had a mobile phone. He had a car phone. It was not even really a mobile phone, it was a car phone because it was mounted in the car. And when you picked up the receiver, it was a handset in the car. Now today everything's got to be hands-free, right? In most states, you got to be hands-free if you're using your cell phone. We used to have a big old receiver, a handheld receiver for car phones. And somebody would be driving down. Well, you knew they were a success because they weren't cheap. And when you picked up the handheld, there was always an operator at the other end, and you didn't dial. There were no dials on your car phone. It was you picked up the receiver, you got this operator, and asked the operator to complete the call. Kind of like back in the real old days, back in the day when we had switchboards and a switchboard operator. And the problem with switchboards is that they weren't manned 24/7. So if it was 3 o'clock in the morning and you wanted to make a phone call, and there was nobody on the switchboard, so your call couldn't be connected. So that was kind of like with car phones. You had to have these kids today, they have no idea about that kind of stuff. You talk to them about a car phone, and they think you're talking about cell phones. No, these were actually mounted in the car. And they were expensive. You just didn't make a willy-nilly. You didn't call your wife to ask, what you wanted to pick up for dinner that night or something. You didn't have silly conversations. You were all business because they were expensive. Like in the early days of cell phones, when cell phones cost upwards of, depending on where you were calling, $2 a minute. Yeah, kids today also don't understand how expensive those things were at first either. But you know what? We worked on them. We got the phones more efficient, more reliable, cheaper. The service became cheaper. And government didn't have anything to do with it. So all of you minds full of mush out there who think government is the answer, government had nothing to do with your cell phone or your iPad. Actually, with the cell phone and iPad, it's safe to say Hollywood invented those. Star Trek, anybody? The communicators? Remember the old communicators in the original Star Trek? That's basically cell phones. Well, I guess they were more a satellite phone because they worked anywhere. And remember Next Generation? Picard was famous for reading on this wireless device. Well, and it's amazing when you go back and you look at some of the special effects work that they had to do to make all that stuff appear to work on screen. It took special effects because that stuff wasn't around. The big screen, computer screen. Put it on the screen. All that wasn't around back then. It was a special effect. And today that stuff is real. So there's no special effects people lost jobs for that stuff. That dealt with that because they don't have to do that anymore. Because that stuff is real. You just go out to Walmart, you can buy a big 80-inch screen TV. I was in Target not too long ago. Target had, if I remember correctly, I think was it a 93, 92 or something? It was a 90-inch plus screen TV. I'm looking at this giant thing hanging on the wall thinking, really? Who has space for that? But there are going to be people that go run out there and spend the $3,000 for it. I'm telling you, that it's just, and the price is going to come down, and it's going to be more affordable, and more people. I just can't picture myself having something. I love movies. I love big screens. You're not even going to need a projector anymore. Those things are going to be passé. You're going to have a 150-inch screen TV that you can buy at Best Buy and have it delivered and hooked up and hung on your wall. It's kind of fascinating, amazing. And all that stuff, none of that's government, by the way. It's not government. Government didn't develop the internet. I know Al Gore would like to say something different about that, but he didn't do that. He did. He did. No, newsflash, Al Gore did not invent the internet. But I think what we're going to have in the next 4 years is, we're going to have a business-savvy, business-friendly administration. I think taxes are going to be lowered on business. I think we're going to see a lot of investment coming into this country from companies that are here, that are based here still. I think they're going to bring some of that profit that they have sitting offshore back onshore, and we're going to see things that are currently under development come forth faster than we thought they could have. For good or bad, I think by 2020, definitely by 2024, we're going to see a much different America than we have today, and as a byproduct, a much different world than we have today. Even in some of the emerging and third world countries are going to benefit from this stuff. They really are, and you're going to see real. I think under Trump, what you're going to see is a push and development of real alternative energy, not this fake stuff that doesn't work nearly as well as they promised, or at all. I think you're going to see real development and real advancement in that area. Because look, people are not against alternative energy sources. They just want it to be as reliable as the current sources. They want it to be as inexpensive as current sources. You want to get rid of oil and gas, carbon-based fuel systems? Well, come up with something that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. There's no way solar should still be as expensive as it is, and it should be at least 5 times more efficient than it currently is. But why should they do that? All they've been doing is taking government money, government subsidies. They didn't have to worry about really making a profit. Hell, they could be almost bankrupt, and Obama still gave them money, and then they did go bankrupt. But all those people that the owners of the company and the stockholders, they still made money. There was no incentive. Now I think there'll be incentive. There will be incentive. And I'm not alone in thinking this, by the way, thinking that better days ahead. Gallup has a poll out there. Most Americans are more confident after Trump election. Yeah, go figure that. You got 51% that are more confident now that Trump has been elected than before the election. 40%. This number is pretty high, though. 40% are less confident. Well, those people are, I guess it's kind of in line with Mitt Romney said. What, 4 years ago? What did Romney say? 47% of people are not going to vote for me. Because those 47% are on the government dole somehow. And I think that 40% signifies those people who are afraid of losing government benefits. They're actually going to have to go to work now. So, by contrast, after George Bush was elected, 54% were more confident and 28% were less confident. But they're in the same ballpark. When Bill Clinton was elected, 53% were more confident and 26% were less confident. But understand, there were less people on the public dole under Bill when he took over. So America is feeling more confident now than they were before the election. And that's a good thing. This is, I got to take a break here. We're going to go to break, and I'm going to come back and talk to you about, something that the Trump administration might be jumping on.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
Paul Ryan we'll get to there's something about a Boston law firm that you're going to want to hear about. But first, Paul Ryan, I mentioned earlier, Paul Ryan actually did something that, well, as a speaker, he should have. And as a Republican, he should have. And shame on the Republicans who were thinking differently. But TheHill.com is reporting that Ryan stopped a vote on bringing back earmarks. Remember, those used to be contentious. People, the American people, hated that pork stuff. And we were livid about that kind of stuff. We started seeing some of it, finding out how much some of it was costing the taxpayer. And back in 2010, under former Speaker John Boehner, Republicans banned earmarks. And they've stuck by that policy ever since 2010. But yesterday, it appears that Ryan persuaded Republicans to at least postpone votes on bringing back legislative earmarks until 2017. And he did so by reminding members of the current members of Congress on the Republican side of President-elect Donald Trump's promise to drain the swamp. And further draining that swamp, Trump just said that he's putting into place in order that you can't be a lobbyist. If you work in his administration, you can't come back to Washington and be a lobbyist for at least 5 years after you leave your post. It kind of, so one of the things, I don't know if they're so big anymore. I don't think so. But back in the 90s, this whole non-compete clause thing in employment contracts proliferated ridiculous. I remember signing one thinking, well, what? You're thinking, some of them started to get really ridiculous. And then courts had to step in and rein in some of that. Non-compete clauses were pretty airtight. People tried to defeat those, and they couldn't. The only thing that some people were able to do was to reduce the length of time, because some of them got to the point where they're 10 years out. I remember a case in Boston where this guy, he was fired. But the non-compete clause said if you quit or if you're fired, you can't work for a firm that directly competes or indirectly competes with this firm for 10 years. And he's like, that's ridiculous. You fired me. Now you're trying to keep me from working. And the court reduced that time frame, but still pretty much upheld most of the rest of the non-compete clause. But this is the same thing. It's like a non-compete. It's a non-compete clause, basically. You can't quit and then come back and, try to wrangle your way back by doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing, simply because now somebody's paying you more than what you were getting paid in the government. That's a good thing. Trump promised that, no lobbyist, and he's sticking by his guns on that too. It definitely appears. I don't think he's gonna back off of that one. So if you go to Washington and under Trump's administration thinking that you're going to have a nice payday, you're going to have to wait a little bit. And 5 years is probably not long enough, but it is long enough for you to be able to have a hard time keeping your contacts, because, that's 2 election cycles, actually. So you could lose a lot of influence by not being in Washington and being a lobbyist for 5 years. I think maybe it should go out 10 years, but hey, we'll take 5.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Six 603-835-3226. You know, Ryan, in pulling this off, it's kind of like the old Paul Ryan was coming back. You know, the original
budget hawk from when he was first elected to Congress some years ago. Is he coming aboard now? Well, look, you know, when he was basically, how can I put this? Paul Ryan is shrewd. Make no mistake about it. He's a brilliant tactician. You cannot convince me that he did not want to be Speaker. He made it seem like he didn't want to be. And then when he got them all up in a tizzy that we want you, and he decided that, well, I'm going to put forth, these are my conditions. Now, see, if he would have just came out and said, well, I want to be Speaker, throw my name in the, in the hat to vote on, he wouldn't have been able to get the things that he got in order to become Speaker. He manipulated the whole thing. Don't doubt me on that, folks. Don't doubt me. He's a shrewd tactician. And that's fine. But he lost his way. All of a sudden, he became this moderate, and he was starting to, do things. And remember that time when he had a beard, and he appeared with Obama. I swear to, it's like he was hidden. He's like he was a Manchurian candidate. And there are a lot of people who commented on that and said the same thing, that he seemed to be off. I don't know, was he under a spell or something? But now it looks like since Trump has won, it seems like maybe he's shaking off that centrist fog. Because now he's coming on board after Trump's. I know he didn't campaign for Trump and all that kind of stuff, but all of a sudden it seems like, well, now him and Trump are becoming good buddies. Now, I don't know if he's maneuvering to try to derail Trump or not, but, this particular issue of him stepping in and saying, hey, let's not do this, this earmark thing, is, I'm optimistically cautious. Okay, folks? I mean, don't think that all of a sudden Paul Ryan is back to the old Paul Ryan. I'm not buying it yet. I'm optimistically cautious. Because remember, this guy is still a very shrewd tactician. And you don't know what's up his sleeve and what he's trying to maneuver and manipulate. Basically, the House Republicans were set to hold a secret ballot to change on changes to their internal conference rules that would have allowed the lawmakers to direct spending to projects in their districts under certain circumstances, earmarks. And based on what lawmakers were saying in the meeting, according to thehill.com, it was likely that an earmark amendment would have passed until Ryan stepped in and urged that we not make this decision today, quote unquote. So there's that caveat, that shrewdness I'm talking about, that one word, today. Not let's not make that decision, but let's not make that decision today. Just so you keep your eye on this kind of stuff, folks. I'll be here keeping an eye on that for you. My eye is on Ryan. I'll be watching him like an eagle. Like people say hawk. Eagles have better sight than a hawk. Hawks have fantastic eyesight, but eagles. Is there any way that if they're going to put, can we get bionic eyes? Bionic eye implants or something, so we can have eyes like an eagle? I'll even take eyes like a hawk. But it's just, we're getting all these other bionic stuff coming about the only thing they can't replace. Well, yeah, I guess they'll be able to replace our brain pretty soon. They can download our entire memory core, I guess, of who we are and who we were into computers soon. So who knows? Maybe we'll have robots of us walking around one day. Republicans. CNSnews.com remember I told you about this all week long about Republicans winning and winning and winning and winning, and Democrats losing and losing and losing. Republicans now control a record number of state legislative chambers. I said the Democrats have been losing constantly since 2010. They haven't been really gaining any ground. The Republicans added to their historic 2014 gains in the nation's state legislatures on top of their 2010 historic gains. In addition of 5 state house chambers and 2 state senate chambers in last week's election, that's what they won. They won an additional 5 state house chambers and 2 more senate chambers. While Democratic control was reduced to levels not seen since the Civil War. Republicans are now in control of a record 67 of the 98 partisan state legislative chambers in the nation, more than twice the number of 31 in which Democrats have a majority. That's more than any other time in the history of the Republican Party, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. They also hold more total seats, well over 4,100 seats of the 7,400 seats available across the country. That's more than they've held since 1920. Next year, the GOP will control both legislative chambers in 32 states, an all-time high, while Democrats will have total control of just 13. In 24 of those 32 states, with Republican-controlled legislators, voters have also elected Republican governors. In contrast, Democrats have a political trifecta of such in just 6 states. Since 2009, when President Obama took office, his party has lost a total of 919 seats in state legislatures. That's not counting the federal level or the county or local level, of which the Democrats are down some 1,300 plus seats. Republicans in Washington had better understand this. This country just took a drastic move to the right. Not moderate, not liberal. Control of this country is firmly in the hands of Republicans. This whole notion that they need to be more like Democrats and more open is a bunch of bullshit. We control this country now. Do folks understand? Do people understand that? Now, sure, all these Republicans are not true conservatives. I get that. But understand, it's still on the right side of the political aisle. There's no crossing the aisle to meet the Democrats. Now it is time for the Democrats to cross the damn aisle to meet the Republicans. We control the country. Republicans control this country. Well, how much more what more do we need? We're not going to get all 50 states at the same time, for crying out loud, especially in New York and California and Illinois, but for crying out loud. When you have 33 Republican governors, 32 legislatures, 24 where you've got the trifecta where all 3 of them are Republican, that's half the country, folks. We control the country now. Now it is time for us to reshape it back to where it was supposed to be. Not going back in time, but getting back to the Constitution so this country, like Donald Trump says, can be great again. We're not great because of our government, people. We're great because of the people. And when you take the government chains off the people, that's when a country becomes great. Republicans control the country. So you minds full of mush out there who are whining and crying that Donald Trump won, you better look at the rest of the country and understand that the rest of the country does not want your load of crap. Plain and simple. Since 2010, the American people have made it clear Although sometimes they got a little murky because they reelected Obama. But we've made it pretty damn clear. We're not left of center. We're not center. We're right of center, and it appears through the last few elections since 2010, we're moving farther to the right. Hallelujah, thank God. So let me remind people that we also need to take this Trump administration, this Trump win, and don't have a hissy fit like we did with Bush and take a giant leap backwards in 2020 or 2024. We need to keep going forward. You elect Trump, now you elect somebody even more conservative than Trump to succeed him. That's how you get your country back. That's how you keep it on track. You don't get upset and let the media, twist your thinking. And, oh my goodness, Bush was the war was too bad. He lied, blah 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 blah, and then vote one of the biggest liars of the century. People realize they accuse Bush of lying about the war. How many times did Obama lie? Including about stuff about Iraq and Afghanistan. How many times did he lie about that? I mean, it's Bush's fault. No, it's not Bush's fault that Obama lied. Sorry. You may have been able to blame Bush for certain things within the first, year or two of the Obama administration, but after that, you can't blame Bush. It's not Bush's fault that Obama lied. And a sign of more moving forward, as I mentioned earlier, Boston law firm and all the Democrat money laundering from external sources. By that, I mean foreign sources. Boston law firm is under federal grand jury probe for $3.4 million straw donor scheme for Democrats. This is from hotair.com, and they asked the question, how does a law firm in Boston get to be the 11th biggest law firm contributor to Democrats nationwide when it's not even among the 100 largest law firms in its own town? It's a small law firm. A federal grand jury has begun to ask that very question about Thornton Law Firm. Two sources tell the Boston Globe that an indictment would make this the biggest straw donor case ever prosecuted. Federal prosecutors in Boston have opened a grand jury investigation into potentially illegal campaign contributions from lawyers at the Thornton Law Firm, a leading donor to the Democrats around the country, according to two sources familiar with the probe. Look at that. Boston Globe went one better. They didn't get one source. They got two. If the grand jury indicts the firm and its lawyers, Thornton could be the biggest so-called straw donor case ever brought nationwide. Between 2010 and 2014 alone, lawyers for the firm, which specializes in asbestos cases, donated nearly $3.5 million to candidates in the Democrat Party, especially to Senate candidates who opposed overhauling the asbestos litigation system. Money laundering at the legal level. Not legal money laundering, but at the legal level. In other words, people who are supposed to know the law and uphold the law are the ones breaking the law. Now, granted, an indictment doesn't mean that they're guilty. I know, I'm the first one to remind people that everybody is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law before their peers. However, this is huge. And this is being done under the Obama administration. Now, just think of what could possibly happen when Trump finally takes over. And we have a real legal hawk in the DOJ. Oh, I seriously hope it's Cruz or Sessions who's going to lead the DOJ. High-level political criminals are going to be look for an exodus. You're going to see people leaving the country. Not these celebrities and movie stars and musicians. No, they're a bunch of phony baloney, good time rock and roll, limousine loving liberals. They're not doing anything. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. The people that you're going to see probably leaving the country for parts unknown, like Snowden, are going to be all these people that have done things that they know they're going to get caught by a Trump Department of Justice. They're going to want to be moving out of the country so they don't have to go to jail. And some people say, well, one way to tell if the Clintons are going to be in trouble is if the Clintons decide to go on vacation outside of the country. I still don't believe that Clinton is going to, neither one of them, Bill or Hillary, or Chelsea. Now there's stuff coming out about Chelsea being highly involved in a lot of this nefarious activity at the Clinton Foundation. I don't think any of them are going to go to jail. I don't even think they're going to be even brought up on charges. But there's going to be quite a few high-level lieutenants and captains within their inner circle who are going to get thrown under the bus, who will go to jail. If you have an administration and a Department of Justice willing to pursue justice. Speaking of which, Jesse Jackson was just out there the other day asking Obama to pardon Hillary. Yeah, I think Jesse Jackson's going to need a pardon. But yeah, he's out there asking for a pardon for Hillary. So you have a Boston law firm who's now being investigated for doing nefarious things that they should not have done. And I think it's only going to get worse. I don't think it's going to get better for these people. It's only going to get worse. They are going to find themselves on the wrong side of the law with the wrong administration prosecuting. But I don't know. One of the things that we're going to be people are going to be looking out for is who Barack Obama as a last minute midnight stroke of the pen, who he's going to pardon. There's even speculation that Obama might even pardon himself. Constitutionally speaking, he can do that. The president can pardon themselves. That would probably be one of the worst things he could possibly ever do to the Democratic Party. But hey, this guy's already destroyed the Democrat Party. He doesn't care about them. So I wouldn't put it past him if he did do something like that. Don't go away. We'll be back to wrap it up. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, But now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
The Trump victory has got a lot of people out there, a lot of other nations wondering what's going to happen with them and their international order. Trump's victory has upended the international globalist order, and even the New York Times is reporting that. Trump's election also upends the agenda for Obama's last foreign trip. I mean, here's a guy that's had to respond to Trump's election over and over again, and there are some people saying that he's thrown Hillary under the bus. Basically it's Hillary's fault that she lost, and he's thrown the Democrat Party under the bus, saying that they were basically backing the wrong candidate, and because Hillary didn't win as many districts as I won, and she didn't get the black vote like I got. And she didn't get the Latino vote like I got. It's her fault. And the Democrats, they did the same thing. They didn't support her like they supported me. They should have. And they didn't come up with good policies. They didn't take my policies and make them their policies so they could win. And that's basically what he's out there saying, folks. You can believe it or not, but Obama really isn't. He's the narcissist in chief is not going to take responsibility for the losses of the Democrat Party. And it's all his fault, to tell you the truth. Starting in 2010 and moving on, and now he's out there. He's trying to. He's out there. He's trying to get Trump and to not totally dismantle his legacy when Trump takes office. But I think Trump is going to go about the business of really dismantling his so-called legacy. And that's too bad for him, because you could the worst president in our nation's history could be followed by one of the greatest presidents in our nation's history. Trump definitely has the potential to be in that top 10, top 5 category. He really does. Wouldn't that be something? I hope that's true. Well, in any case, we are out of time for today, as you can hear, but we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. Have a wonderful Thursday afternoon.